Hey everyone! This is my first time doing a Photoshop tutorial, so I hope it will be helpful for you guys. And the reason I'm doing this is because I often get people asking me for tips on Photoshop and for some graphic tips. And I figured it will be easier if I just do online tutorials so you guys can watch it online and see how to actually do it. So this tutorial is going to be live because I'm gonna let you ask some questions if you didn't understand something, so you will be able to ask questions at the end. Now I'm not gonna answer questions during the guide because it will be like distracting from the guide, so we will keep the questions for the end. So today I'm going to show you how to do vector shapes in Photoshop. You can use vector on other programs as well. So even if you don't have Photoshop, or even if you don't want to do it on Photoshop, learning the basics will be helpful for you on other programs, because even if it's not exactly the same, it usually does have some similar things. Like if you use Illustrator, it will be kind of similar to the Photoshop vector. So it is always good to know that. And when people ask me for tips on Photoshop, this is definitely the best tip I can give you guys, because if you do graphics for the internet, not printing it, but do some things for internet or for computer, you should probably do it vector as much as you can. And this is probably the most useful tip I could give you guys. So that was the intro, and now we're gonna start. First thing, I'm gonna explain to you what is vector and why you should use it and why is it better than bitmap. So first of all, what is it? When you make things on graphic programs, there are usually two ways to do it. One is called vector and the other one is called bitmap. Now let me show you an example. First, open up some file and have some background so you can test things. So let's say that I take a brush and just do some line. You can see the line is looking kind of shape like kind of sharp, like it's not blurry or anything. Now under it I'm gonna add some text. Now I'm doing it tiny on purpose, so just so I can show you. Okay, so I have a squiggle and text. Now I take both of them. Oh, sorry, I had to do it on a different layer, sorry. Okay, so now I'm gonna take both of them, and they are kind of tiny, and I'm gonna make them really big. Now what you can see is that both of them were really sharp when they were tiny, but when I made them bigger, look what happened. This red line became really blurry, while the text remained sharp. So that's because the text is made in a vector way. So vector pretty much means that I can resize it and I won't lose quality. This was made in a bitmap way, and that's why when I resize it, I lose quality. So I'm not gonna explain you the technical thing, because for this you can use Google. I'm gonna explain you the easy way to understand it. Pretty much bitmap is made by pixels repeating. Like if I go really big, you can see that there are squares. Those are pixels. The bitmap way is having a lot of squares, and each one has a different color. When I resize, the program doesn't know how to add or delete pixels, so it does it automatically, and I lose quality. If I go back on the text, the text is not made by pixels, it is made by dots on the program that know how to connect lines, and that's why when I resize it, it doesn't lose quality. So you probably didn't understand it because that was the technical explanation, but what you need to know is that when you make it vector, you can easily edit it without to lose quality. Now, when you use a brush on Photoshop, this is a bitmap tool. So you're not able to edit it much, and you will lose quality when you resize it. Text is one of the vector tools in Photoshop. That means I can edit the text or resize it, and it will remain the same. So hopefully you saw the difference. Now, text is not really a vector shape, it's a vector text. It is different because if I wanted to edit it, as in like taking the dot from here, from the T, and make it bigger, but without to touch the rest of the text, I wouldn't be able to, because text is not that editable. Like I can change the text, but I can't change the shape of the letters. So for that, we will have vector shapes. So that was kind of an explanation for the difference. Now I'm gonna show you how to make vector shapes on Photoshop. Okay, sorry, I just popped up through the comments to see everything fine. Okay, so how do you make vector shapes on Photoshop? Well, there are some pre-made shapes that you can use on that tool, or you can make the shapes yourself with the pen tool. Now, I suggest you do it with a pen tool, unless you need like a circle or a square or something that pre-made is being like exactly what you need. Unless you need that, I suggest you use the pen tool. Now, when I use the pen tool, it is really important that I mark that option and not this one. Now, I'm not sure if you can exactly see it, because you might have to look at full screen in order to see what I'm pointing on. But mainly there is one option called vector shape and one option called path. You don't use the path one, you use the vector shape one. Now you pick a random color, it doesn't really matter which one. And you start by making a dot. Now if your shape has sharp corners, you can just click in order to make your shape. But usually your shape won't be just sharp corners. So if you click and then before you leave the button, you just drag it. So you will see those dots. They're like handles. So if you do it that way, you will be able to make corners that are not sharp. So the best thing you do is you start by making that shape. Usually you use the least dots as you like. Don't do dots unless you actually need them. After you have some shape, you can use the white arrow in here, which is called direct selection tool. You click on the shape and you're able to edit the dots. You can move this or change them in any way you want. And if you find a dot that you don't need anymore, you right click on it and you delete the point. You can also add points that way. So you get into some shape that you want. Let's say that I wanted to do a jelly bean or something. So once you have the shape ready, you can pretty much do anything with it. The best way to recolor is you click here and you just pick whatever color you want, and you can recolor it without to lose quality. Now, if you made a shape and you think you will need it for the future, go on pen tool, right click on it, and do define custom shape. Once you do it, you can go on custom shape tool over here, and when you click here, you will find your shape at the bottom so that you can keep making that shape and repeat it. Now, if you wanna keep the original proportions, you make the shape while holding the shift key so that you get exactly the same proportions. Now that was the make of an easy shape. As you can see, whenever I start a new shape after I did it, the new shape will be on a new layer over here so that I can edit them differently. Now, if I wanted them to be on the same layer, I have options over here. Mark the shape, and if you click on here, I can add other shapes and they will remain on the same layer, so I can move them together. Now, I suggest you don't put things on the same layer because it will kind of limit you when you want to move them. So the best thing is to do each shape on a different layer and just group them together. So you just put them in a group and then you can move them all, but I can also pick just the layer I want and move it. So that was the second option, is making them on the same layer. Now, next thing is if I mark the shape, and let's say that I wanted to do a shape with a hole in it. So I could do like this, and I want to put a hole in here. In that case, I have to make sure that shape is marked, picking this and clicking on it, and then I choose this option. If you can't see what I'm clicking on, you just look on. So I'm picking that option, and I'm starting to do another shape in the middle. Now, it's not really another shape, it's just a hole inside the original shape. So now I have this. And once again, I can always edit it. Like if I don't like the way it came up, I can just edit it wherever I want, which is something you can't do if you use the brush tool, for example. So you also have other two options, but they're not so useful, so I'm not gonna waste time showing them. You can just try and see what they do. Now, the next thing is you don't want your shape to be just a blank thing like that, right? You want it to be shadowed and more special. So if you look in here, you can find effects. Now, other than like except for pattern overlay, all the rest of the effects are vector. So that means if you add them and you resize the shape, they will remain the same. So if I add a shadow, for example, I can resize and my shadow won't lose quality because it's vector. So those effects work on bitmap as well, but your thing is that they work on vector. So you just add whatever effect you want, and you can pretty much play with your settings wherever you want, however you want. So let's do this, for example. Now, let's say that this is the shape, but you want this shape to have some like pink circles on it, for example. Now, you can use the brush tool on it because the brush tool is bitmap and the shape is vector. So if you want to add something on the shape and keep it vector, what you do is you make a new shape and you either draw, like if I wanted a line or something, I could draw this way, or I could do like shapes like that, and I want to apply them inside those shapes. So what I do is I right click on the layer that is closest to it. I have to put it near the shape I want to put it in, and then I right click and I do create clipping mask. Once I do that, the shape is applied in here, and it also gets the same effects that I put in here. I can do it with more than one layer, and now the thing is that I can still edit it because it's vector. I can still change those shapes, move them, edit them, and they won't lose quality when I do that. Just do this. So pretty much you can keep your drawing editable as much as possible if you do it vector. Now if I wanted to get rid of it, like not have it on the shape, I just release clipping mask. Now another cool tip is that even if the shape is inside this one and it gets the vector effects of the yellow shape, I can still add more effects just on the pink shape. So like if I do this, you see I can add like effect just on a pink thing without to affect the yellow shape. So you pretty much keep it as editable as possible if you do it vector. I'm not really drawing, sorry, I just looked at the comments. I'm not really drawing, I'm just showing you the... Yeah, I have to... looking at the comments. I'm just showing you like how to do it. So that's the cool thing, you can edit it as much as you want. Now you can use this way not only to make shapes but also to make drawings. and even to make text if you want. So the cool thing is that you can keep editing whatever you do. Now this is useful on other things, like even if I already had like some shape that I already made. For example, if I took this and I had a shape like that and it's bitmap, but now I want to make it I want to turn it into vector. I won't use the automatic way. There is an automatic way to do it, but it comes out really bad, so I suggest you don't use it. Best thing you can do is you just use the pen tool and you just remake the shape, and it's really easy. Now you can see that it's starting to color it, so while making the shape I can make it transparent, like so I can see the shape under it. So obviously I'm making an ugly shape, so it's kind of hard to be exactly on the lines, but once you do it, you can use the white arrow to fix it to be as close as possible to the original shape. Or you can fix it to look better than the original shape if the original one was as ugly as what I made. Now, the good thing is you don't have to have just a bitmap shape. You can use it on your drawings. You can draw something in real life, scan it into the computer, and then use the pen tool to make it vector. And you can of course recolor it easily, resize it easily, and edit it as much as you want without lose quality. Now, if you use drawing and you want an outline, you just do stroke on your part, which can result more of a drawing feeling. So if I put the same effect here, so the good thing about vector is that it's really easy and you can pretty much turn every shape into a nice drawing, which is pretty cool because you can apply the Photoshop effects into improving everything. Sorry. Okay, so that was pretty much the basics of vectoring. Of course, it can look better than this. Now, if I wanted to do a bitmap thing, a bitmap shadow, or involve bitmap with the vector shape, I just do it with clipping mask. Like if I wanted to add a shadow that is bitmap, I will do a new layer, add it like that, and just do a clipping mask. Then I can just change the effect So as you can see, I can even combine bitmap with vector. Okay, just looking at the comments again. Okay, so that was pretty much the basic of vector, which is enough to know to start with. Now I'm gonna show you some practice on actually making a drawing that way, so that you can understand better. Okay, so for the practice, we're gonna do something that we will pretend that this is a sketch. It's not really a sketch, but I'm just gonna pretend that I'm drawing, a carrot. Okay, now it's not gonna be perfect because I want you to see that you can do it even without to know much about drawing. So I'm gonna show some simple, just some bitmap drawing. Which I'm making it bad on purpose. So let's say that you did something like that, and you can all do something like that, and you want to turn this into a vector drawing. So first, you use the pen tool. You pick a random color. It doesn't really matter because you can always change it later. And you just make shapes based on the lines you have. Now you can make it transparent, like I said, and match the shape until it goes either exactly on the lines or better than the lines, because if the lines were ugly, you should make it better. You just keep making the shapes on the drawing until you get what you want. Once you get it, you get rid of the bottom layer and you change the opacity back. So once you get some result that you like, you add some whatever effect you want to it. Now I'm gonna add some things on the carrot to give it a more real feeling. Okay, so once I have my drawing ready, as you can see, once I add effects and some curves and things like that, it looks more like a real drawing. Now, once I have it ready, I usually just group it so it will all be movable at the same time. Of course, this is just a basic thing. I can obviously make it better. Now I can add even more effects to match it. So once I have my drawing ready, I can, copy it to try different effects on it. Like I have this for example, and I'm going to show you another way. To give it a more soft drawing look. Okay, so that was the first practice of vector shapes. If this was helpful for you, you can try it yourself. Make some simple drawing. As you can see, you don't have to actually know how to draw in order to make cool drawings that you can use on your logo. Now, if you think it's kind of like, what can you do with a carrot? So I'm going to show you some example of how to turn a carrot into a cooler thing. So as you can see, even if you just do a simple drawing and you don't really know how to draw, you can still turn it into something cool. That was just a quick example. Of course, if you actually do it, you should make the line and text vector as well. But since it takes more time, I just show you that with a regular brush. So once you learn how to do it, you can even make a carrot or whatever you want to practice. And if this was helpful for you, please show me what you made with my tips. Like, do something and send it to me on my Google Plus page. You can just upload it into your own page and tag me, so I can take a look at what you did, and hopefully this was really helpful for you. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask them now. I'm gonna answer questions for a few minutes so you can understand things. If something wasn't clear enough, if I talk too fast or anything, you can ask it now. Now, as you can see on the screen, there is another carrot that I made earlier. So you can see that I can actually use those shapes I make, even if they're really simple. They can easily be used into cool things. So this is Adobe Photoshop for the question by Derpigood. This is Adobe Photoshop. It is not Illustrator. And you can do vector shapes from Photoshop as well. This is why I showed it. And that was a pretty basic thing, just, you know, to give you the basics. So on my next guide, I'm gonna show you things a bit more complicated, but still kind of easy. Like things that everyone can do that. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to know how to draw in order to do things like that. As you can see, I just did a quick sketch, a few points with a pen tool, and it still looked kind of nice. Can I show some of my advanced vector shape work? I can show you some other things I did, but mostly I can show because I mostly use it for TDR textures, because we're making the textures vector as well, so you'll have to wait for the game before you can actually see it. So I doubt I have anything right now that isn't something I can show yet. I did the Toontunes logo in vector. If you saw this one, let me see if I can add it here. Yeah, if you look at this logo, I did it on vector shapes as well. This text, I actually made it with the pen tool, which is pretty cool because then you don't have to use a pre-made font, and then your logo can be unique because you used your own text. So that was one example. What version of Photoshop do I use? I use Photoshop CS5, Middle East version, but the same things should work on all versions. Like sometimes things will be a bit different. Like the buttons will have a different location or look a bit different, but usually it will still be the same. Cause like I said earlier, you can use it even if it's just even if it's a different program like Illustrator or Flash or any other program that supports vector shapes. You can usually use it and it won't be exactly the same, but it will be very similar. So if you understood how to do it on Photoshop, you will usually be able to learn pretty quick how to do it on other programs. So I will show you the textures I made on vector, but I'm not really allowed because it's a TDR thing and I'm not allowed to show it before AGT update. Can I make carrots made of cheese? That will require, technically it's possible, it will require different effects, so I'm not sure how quick I can do it, as in to show it in this guide. But technically it's not that hard. If I wanted to change it into, like, give it a cheese effect. I doubt I can do it fast enough. Probably won't be best result. Okay, let's pretend it looks like cheese. Is that cheesy enough for you? Did Sandy use vector to make TDR font? I believe she did. I'm not totally sure, but I believe she did. Who drew my avatar on YouTube? You can find the credit in the description of this video. Like I said, I'm not gonna answer TDR questions because this is a Photoshop guide. So if you have any questions regarding to the guide, related to the guide, you can ask them now before we finish. Okay, I will tell you that alpha testers can't play TDR yet because it's closed until we open beta. So I didn't really want to answer questions like that, but I gave you one anyway. So if you don't have many questions, I'll take it as you guys understood what I did, which I'm really glad for that, because I was afraid that it won't be clear enough when I explain it, but hopefully you understood it. So if you did something, like if this was helpful for you, I will be really happy if you could share vector things that you made after seeing my guide. Even if it was just practice, or even if you made something for your website or anything, I would love to see it. And I really hope this was helpful for you. Of course, what I did was pretty basic shapes, so you can get it even more complicated when you practice a lot. You can make it look really good, because like we did textures for TDR, they look just like in original game, but we made a vector. So this is probably the best tip I could give you for Photoshop, is that you make things vector as much as you can. Don't use bitmap unless you have to, because it's always good to be able to edit your program to the tiniest things and resize it without to lose quality, and add effects without to lose quality. So it's really always the best if you could make it vector. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and let me know if you liked it, and if it was helpful, I might make more tutorials like that in the future. So thank you guys for joining me. Do I have a DeviantArt? No, I actually don't have one. I was thinking about making one, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna put in there. So I don't have one now, but I might make one if it will be interesting for anyone. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me. I really hope it was helpful for you. Don't forget to share what you made with it, and let me know if you would like to see some more tutorials like that. Okay, so I'll see you next time, guys. And just another tip before I finish: if you heard about Toontown House, right now, I suggest that if you try it, you don't use a password that you use on other places. I'm sure you probably heard this warning, but just in general, it's not good to use the same password for more than one place. But if you do, I suggest you don't do it on Toontown House. So it's not really related to the tutorial, but I just felt like I have to tell you that before we finish. So if you like my video, you can subscribe to follow my future videos. You can follow my Google Plus page in the description of this video to either follow my updates or show me what you did with this guide. And you can also check the description of this video for some more cool links. So I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.